So,
Hi.
good morning. Are we good to go here? Yep, okay. Okay, call to order. Today is Wednesday, June 28th, 2023. It's 9 a.m. We are at the Shoreview City Hall Council Chambers for our regular board meeting. Roll call, I see that all managers are present. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
And setting the agenda, any
You have
changes?
one
Oh,
missing, Marcy.
Oh,
This is an empty chair.
you know, she's been so quiet lately, I hadn't noticed. Thank you for pointing out the fact that Marcy Wynant, with prior notice, is not with us this morning. Setting the agenda, any changes to the agenda?
Staff have no adjustments?
Okay, I will move the agenda as presented. Any second?
Second?
Any, all in favor say aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? 4-0. Approval of minutes. We have a motion on that, please.
Mr. President, I move to approve the June 12th, 2023 workshop minutes and the June 14th, 2023 regular meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there,
Mr. President, ask for a separate vote.
all right,
Okay. Move to approve the June 12th, 2023 workshop minutes.
all right. And is there still a second?
I'll second.
All right, discussion.
I will vote no today on the workshop minutes. I feel they are willfully inadequate with the discussion that went on about the Metro shooting center situation. There's no reflection in there of your discussion or mine, Mr. President. So I'm just, and I'm not at this time offering any corrections. I'm just going to vote no. They have been, to me, that's just, they're just, this is an attempt to shape the record.
Well, all right. I'll call for the vote then. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed?
No.
This passes 3-1.
Okay, and Mr. President, I move to approve the June 14th, 2023 regular meeting minutes.
Second?
And any discussion on that one? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Passes 4-0. Which takes us then to the consent agenda. Patrick?
Yes, President Bradley, staff have one application for your consideration today. It is an amendment of an application that has previously received CAPROC from the board.
Any questions of Patrick? Hearing none, can I have a motion?
Mr. President, I'll move that we approve CAPROC for permit number 21099, Headwaters Land Group in Forest Lake with CAPROC 15 items.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, passes 4-0. So Administrator, let's take us the public information meeting on the 2023 MS4 program and stormwater pollution prevention program, yet another acronym, SWPPP. So I'll call that to order. The purpose of the meeting is to provide information to and receive input from the public regarding the district's stormwater pollution prevention program. And we've got Allie Chalberg and Will Roach here today, and ask them to provide a brief presentation on this. Allie, welcome.
Not sharing. Push mark. Oh, there we go. Yep, got it.
Oh, you got it.
It was like sharing unavailable or something like that. So, all right. Can you minimize the people? So we can see your presentation. That's not on my screen. It's using me. I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead. Right. Is there? We saw one.
So, oh, there we
There
go.
we go.
Awesome.
All right, we'll just make sure this is all working now. All right. Thank you and good morning, Mr. President, members of the board, and any members of the public that might be looking at this at a future date, because I don't believe we have any today. We do take comments year round. So if you're viewing this at a later time on YouTube, please feel free to reach out and contact us at the district. Today, Will and I will be presenting the public meeting for the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Program. Unlike in previous years, there will be no board action on this item, just the presentation today. This presentation fulfills the district's obligations for the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency's Municipal Separate Stormwater Sewer Permit, or the MS4 permit, for our district facilities. With that, I will jump into the slides here. Again, my name is Allie Chelberg, and I'm a watershed technician and inspector with the district, and I've been in charge of the MS4 permit for the last year. My colleague Will here will be taking over the MS4 permit, and we'll be going through the majority of the information today. So to start, the reason there will be no board action today is because the 2022 annual reporting will not take place until 2024. At that time, reports for the 2022 and 2023 calendar years will both be submitted online through the MPCA's new e-service. So again, no board action today. We're just presenting the public meeting. So a little bit of background about the district's MS4 program and the general permit. It is a federally mandated program, but that is put in place by the EPA and is locally administered by the MPCA. What the permit does is authorizes the watershed district to discharge stormwater from our MS4 systems to the waters of the state, which includes lakes and streams. The extent of the district's MS4 permit does not cover the entirety of the watershed and is limited to the district's 103E public drainage system that falls within the 2010 U.S. Census urbanizing area. Under this program, the district is required to develop a stormwater pollution prevention program. And so with that, I'm going to pass it over to Will to go through the components of the district's SWIP. You can always raise here.
Good morning, President Bradley and Board of Managers. I'm Will Roach. I'm also a watershed technician and inspector for Rice Creek. And as Allie noted, I'll be taking over the MS4 program from her. So as noted, our MS4 permit requires that the district provide and implement a stormwater pollution prevention plan, or a SWIP, that is composed of the 6 minimum control measures you see on the screen here. Since no report is required this year by the MPCA, I'll just be going through these and highlighting the key figures from this last reporting year of 2022. And because of the diverse nature of each of the MCMs, each staff member at the district does play a role in implementing these. So the first MCM is public outreach and education. So one of the main ways the district implements this is by providing technical support and guidance on a multitude of projects. A couple key figures here from this last reporting year. In 2022, the district had 12 projects that qualified to cost share and 23 projects that qualified for mini grants. We also collaborate with a variety of different groups, including Blue Thumb, Watershed Partners, Minnesota Water Stewards, and the Freshwater Society. We also provide articles, displays, materials, and participate in both in-person and virtual events in order to share information with the public. The district is also very active on social media, keeping members of the public updated on district activities, and we are also in the process of creating a new district website to be much more user-friendly with information easier to find. The second MCM is public participation and involvement. The way the district focuses on this MCM is through our annual public information meeting, which is being held today. And as part of this, we also do a 30-day public notice to the public through both on the district website as well as in print media and mailing to our municipal partners. Prior to the meeting today, we did not receive any written or verbal comments regarding the district's MS4 permit or SWIP programs. And the district also participates in participates and hosts a variety of events throughout the year focused on stormwater pollution prevention and water quality. MCM3 is illicit discharge detection and elimination. The district implements this MCM through our Rule H, which is illicit discharge and connection. The district is able to use our MS4 front database to map the location of where those illicit discharges occur and provide a summary of what the exact nature of the cause was. We also coordinate every IDDE complaint that we receive, and we usually do this through coordinating with both MPCA as well as local municipalities to determine the source of the spill. And in 2022, we did have one spill that was along ACD 55. That was a partial slope collapse that resulted in some sediment runoff, but staff did coordinate with the municipality as well as the landowner and the responsible contractor to resolve that issue. MCM4 is construction site stormwater and runoff control. The district implements this MCM through Rule D, which is our erosion control and sediment control plans. So this is where inspectors such as Allie and myself will visit sites to ensure that they are maintaining with what their approved erosion control plans are, to make sure there's not any making sure there's not any sediment runoff or other significant issues, and then coordinating with those applicants and contractors to resolve any issues that are observed on site. In 2022, we had 70 active construction sites that were over an acre or more. We had a total of 449 active inspections for those sites and 98 violation notices sent out, with the top 3 issues being perimeter control, exposed soils, and the storage and handling of construction products, materials, and waste. MCM5 is our post-construction stormwater management. So this is where the district's Rule C comes in, which is stormwater management. So part of this review program includes making sure applicants have an appropriate stormwater plan and BMP in place based on the scope of their work, that ditch, drainage, and utility easements have been acquired, and that there are maintenance agreements for all permanent stormwater BMPs. In 2022, we had 46 permits issued that did require permanent stormwater BMP, and district staff also uses the MS4 front database to catalog and record the location of those stormwater BMPs. And then we have MCM6, which is pollution prevention and good general housekeeping. Because the district's MS4 requirements are a bit unique compared to other MS4 authorities, rather than just kind of focusing on the district facilities that would be within the urbanizing area and then thus subject to MS4, the district approaches more of a general standard of providing good general upkeep and maintenance on all district-owned facilities, regardless if they're MS4 affiliated or not. And then in 2022, we inspected three of the 5 district facilities were inspected. And that includes the 1 sediment basin and then 2 iron enhanced sand filters. And then finally, we have Rice Creek is also required to provide TMDL reporting as kind of an unofficial 7th MCM. TMDL is the total mass daily load, which is the total amount of pollutants that a water body or water course can take in while still maintaining state water quality standards. And some good news on this end is we do have several water bodies that have been submitted to be removed from the impaired waters list. So here those are White Rock, Bald Eagle, and then Island Lake here. And talking to Matt Cochin, sounds like we are also in the process of, there are some potential water bodies that will also be delisted in the future. So that's always good to see on that end. So just to summarize, as Allie noted, there is no MS4 report that is due this year. This is purely an informational meeting. And then since 2020, the 2020 census data is not yet available, so we're not quite certain what the urbanized area will look like for 2020. But again, because the district applies our rules in a standard manner across the district, we don't really have any too many concerns on how that's going to impact our regulatory process. And kind of on a similar note, we're also in the process of updating our jurisdictional boundary. But again, because we apply our rules in a standard method across the district, again, staff doesn't really have any concerns on how that will impact the regulatory process. And then, yeah, at this time, I'm happy to take any questions or comments that the board has.
Do any of the board members have questions at this time?
Mr. President, I'll wait until, anybody else, do you want to go first?
No, I don't have any questions. I just wait for you to ask the questions, then I don't have to ask them.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
So I often hear from many of the cities that I visit every year that the MS4 rules of the city are duplicate or overlapping the watershed rules. And so they ask, why do we need to have MS4 permits from the watershed district for things like construction site, stormwater runoff, post-construction water management, et cetera. Many of these things, the cities all have MS4 authority, and they are capable of it. And in addition, even though you may have 90 violations, the enforcement policy for the district is really cumbersome. So is there some way we could help streamline this? Is it necessary for all these watershed rules that overlap or duplicate or similar to? Because the cities are very consistent, and I've heard this for years of the overlapping here.
Go ahead, Nick.
Thank you, President Bradley. Board of Managers, first I'll note that the state is the one who requires the MS4 permit and decides who will be under that jurisdiction or requirement. The districts, bear with me a moment. The district sets the standard, which is the basis for the rules it has adopted. That standard and our watershed management plan includes the ability for any municipality to take over and adopt its own ordinances that would be equivalent or more restrictive on its own. We have collaborated with many of the municipalities when enforced matters or situations require attention on site and hope for the best resource outcome for those locations. We do have a pilot program with the city of Centerville where we have looked at a single entity providing a site inspection that is shared with the city, but again, there is a partnership in any enforcement or measures that are taken on site to address problems.
Nick, the Centerville situation, if I remember correctly, it was the city was looking to put its responsibility to us rather than us putting our responsibility to them. Am I accurate on that?
Correct. Any obligated entity can contract, if you will, with a party to fulfill its obligation. I would think the state would want to review that agreement, that contractual arrangement, to ensure that the obligation is being met.
So at our next county partner city meeting, I don't know if we've discussed this issue with them in the past, or we may want to consider, once we've had a chance to look at how this pilot works at least, broadening that beyond the pilot. Does that make sense?
Certainly, that is a possibility. This issue came up, or related issue came up last year when this presentation was done, and it didn't bear repeating at this meeting, but since the discussion has gone that way, I'll share it now. The district's being captured under the state's MS4 program requiring us to have a permit is a bit concerning or in question, because our public drainage systems are what are considered a storm sewer and what we need to address under the permit. However, they're also classified as waters of the state. So to visualize that distinction, you wouldn't think someone would be fishing in a city storm sewer through the grate as a water of the state. And here the district's storm sewer, the ditch, is a water of the state. So we have this conflict. We've brought it to PCA's attention and had some good discussion about that. They've invited the district, if we like, to remove ourselves from that obligation, which is a process. It's not just done. You have to make your point. With that, I'll just share, again, the district sets a standard for its rules regardless of this MS4 requirement for the benefit of the water resource.
Any other questions? Go ahead, John.
So, Mr. President, just for informational purposes, one of the chief cities that I've listened to over the years about the unnecessary rules that conflict with the city's responsibilities for MS4 is Centerville. I consistently have listened to, but not the only one, okay? There are others, as to why we have a set of rules when the responsibilities for the cities are there. So I have to also point out that when the city takes over one of the so-called drainage ditches, and there's a difference, some of our drainage ditches are altered natural water courses. So that may be why they're waters of the state versus a drainage ditch, for example, like 5362 is not an altered natural water course, but JD2, JD3 are. And when the cities take over those responsibilities, then they include that in their MS4 also, I would think so. So it makes me wonder, we have to spend a lot of resources, time and effort on maybe overlapping or unnecessary regulatory actions. And we could use those resources for other projects or interests.
Well, apparently, it's not something we can continue to work with cities to assist each other in meeting our joint responsibilities.
Again, the district seems to require the cities to adopt the district rules, whereas the cities are saying we already have this obligation from statutory. We don't. You're just making this more cumbersome, and that's the
Before I turn it over,
the issue.
I can remember that we went to great lengths to make sure that our rules were consistent with the MS4, that there were no more
Correct.
burdensome
That's exactly right,
than
Mr.
the
President.
MS4.
They are. And so therefore, there's why.
Yeah. They're what they have to be.
The district's rules are, Manager Bradley, Board Manager, the district rules are very extensive. They go beyond stormwater itself, floodplain, public drainage, those types of things. And in situations where municipalities have taken over, if you will, this regulatory administration of a standard through its own ordinances. They are not adopting the district's rules. They may do that by reference, but their own ordinances are what they're enforcing, not the district's rules. They're meeting the standard.
Well, I take a little issue there. The cities adopt the district rules by ordinance. So yes, it is their ordinance, but they adopt the district rules as an ordinance. They just plain copy of them. And so, yeah, That's what's happened. And so, yes, it's true, they're enforcing their ordinances, but they've been, in order to, they've been, I would say, required almost to adopt the ordinance, therefore they can go forward and work on it. And it's,
President Bradley,
Yes, Nick.
Board of Managers, that's generally true. Whatever convenience the municipality wants to exercise and adopt its ordinance, so be it. But again, the district is setting the underlying standard that supports the language of the rule. That's your role as a watershed where these matters cross those political boundaries. That's the watershed's purpose in setting the standard and seeing that it's administered across the entirety of the watershed.
Very good. Any further questions?
the standard is set by the state statute.
Standard is set by Rice Creek Watershed District. It's mandated to adopt rules based on the watershed specifics.
At this time, I think we've taken this enough
Good,
circles.
yes.
Thank you. We're going to go to the public hearing portion of this. If there's anyone out there, let me just restate the purpose of this meeting is to receive comments and questions from interested parties regarding the stormwater pollution prevention program. And anyone who's commenting is welcome to ask questions of our staff, with Ali Chalberg and Will Roach, who've been speaking today. And before I go through directions on anyone who wants to speak, let's find out if there's anyone who would like to speak. There's no one here present. Is there anyone on the phone who would like to speak? Again, if there's anyone on the phone, I don't see anyone on the list here. So once we're satisfied that everyone's declare the public information meeting concluded, and we'll continue back at our regular meeting. Thank you all for your participation and assistance this morning. Nick, where are we?
We are on open mic.
Ha! So if there's anyone who wanted to speak about something else, so obviously no one here, and I don't see anyone on our phones either. So that takes us to what? Check register?
Correct.
All right. Steve, you want to make a motion on the check register for us?
Yes, I sure would. Mr. President, I move to approve the check register dated June 28th, 2023 in the amount of $486,986.48 prepared by Redpath and Company.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, passes 4-0. I had received a note from Marcy about whether or not we needed a motion to approve the contracts that had gone on. I don't think that's a normal part of our process. You sent out the notice on that.
Correct. President Bradley, Board of Managers, I don't know the origin of Marcy's comment, but what I would share is that you have delegated authority to the administrator up to a certain dollar amount, and when that dollar amount is exceeded, it requires some exchange with the board president, which I have done, up to that dollar amount, $20,000 is the max there. After that, it needs to come to the board. None of our current contracts that were released require further action.
Very good. And I believe that takes us to the July, staff reports. Anyone have any questions about the staff reports, comments? In the absence of Marcy, I'll say, wow.
Oh, my goodness. Perfect.
Right?
Yeah,
Spot
I
on.
covered it.
Okay. July calendar. Any questions or concerns about the July calendar? I note that there's no citizen advisory committee meeting in July. Everything else is as normal. I don't see anything out of normal. So administrator update.
Yes, Board of Managers, couple of updates. Manager Wagman did ask a question about the Columbus CWPMP when we were discussing Anoka County Ditch 102232 and the specific language in there and what it meant. Patrick and I did have a discussion and he investigated that, and I'd turn to him for a brief response.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Manager Wegman, yeah, we did look at the Columbus CWPMP report. I believe I found the language that you were referencing. And in a sense, it is just a reorganization of the language that is within the Wetland Conservation Act for the drainage exemption. So the way that we're reading it here in the report is that, you know, maintenance activities may not require replacement. They may be exempt from replacement through WACA, but that anything that is an improvement would still be
Right.
subject
Yep.
to replacement rule.
Okay,
So it was just
that's
essentially
the way
same
I
language,
understood it.
just-
Thank you.
Board of Managers continuing on, Anoka County Ditch 5362, that repair project, the contractor is getting things moving, although they have submitted a change order to move the substantial completion date to August 4th. That has been processed and in place, so we look forward to their continued work there. I did attend the Minnesota Watershed's summer tour. It included the administrator meeting from different watersheds. We had several presentations from other entities and had a nice tour in the area of some projects that they're using to address resource issues. Update regarding Preby Lake Outlet Project, which is affectionately known as PLOP, P-L-O-P. We met with the city of Birchwood's new engineer that the city contracts with regarding the outlet. We're waiting for their comments on the proposed draft memorandum of agreement, which will help unify the management of that system as it crosses 3 municipal boundaries. Have to report a little bit of movement on the watermark development. That's ACD 55, where the tile was installed, and we were concerned. We brought this to the board previously. The engineers are talking about what would be good methods to demonstrate compliance with their obligations. And that's it. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Don, you want to have any comments?
Thank you, Mr. President. I did attend the summer Watershed convention along with Nick, although I didn't go to hear what was really happening. That's where you go to the administrators meeting. I went for the part where they show you the tour. One of the things, it was put on by 3 watershed districts, Soil and Water Conservation District, the Cedar River Watershed District, what they called it, the Shell Rock River Watershed District, and the Turtle Creek Watershed District. And this is in Albert Lea, Minnesota. Basically, there were 2 different areas we went to, the Austin area and the Albert Lea area. The Austin area is the Cedar River issue, and Albert Lea was the Fountain Lake. And there were 11 different sites on a long bus tour all day. One of the interesting things to learn about the Fountain Lake was this is the 3rd time that they have dredged that lake. It's 13 feet deep. I did it in 59, I believe, in 1929 also. And this is a $40 million project. It includes the ditches that contribute into it also. It was refreshing to see that this is done by a staff of about half a dozen people, and the interaction of local politics that's been done with down there between their cities and their townships and their Soil and Water Conservation District. They've raised this $40 million from many sources, and that was state and federal, and even had a special sales tax put in which their city has approved twice at over 75% vote each time. So that was a curious thing. I didn't know we could start dredging lakes. It might be something to look at. But yeah, again, like I said, they had money from the Fish and Wildlife, federal U.S. Fish and Wildlife, the Lissard funds, the Clean Water, the EPA, the DNR, plus I imagine contributions maybe from non-government organizations also. This is quite the demonstration there. Their engineers down there are ISG, which is the same engineering firm I went to and watched earlier about the drainage on Upper Cannon River in May. So with that, Mr. President, I don't have anything else to report at this time.
Nothing.
I have nothing.
Well, we've received a letter recently, I just got mine yesterday, from the city of Columbus, renewing its request for some amount of credits from and I've indicated to staff that we think we ought to bring this, after evaluation by the staff, a presentation to us at a workshop in the near future.
Mr. President, I just remind you that the same obligation, according to Columbus, is existing for Forest Lake, so let's not forget them either.
Well, or the 26 other cities, so we have
Yeah,
to find out what the.
I just was put that
what
on the record here.
basis
So,
is for our
yeah,
assessment.
yeah.
Can we get a copy of the letter? Did we receive a copy of that?
It was emailed yesterday.
Oh, was it?
Yep.
I missed it.
President Bradley, Board of Managers, yes, the email came from the legal
From the,
assistant aide from Lochran Hoffman,
yeah.
first name of Jill. But it was an attachment to that. It went to the managers and it was mailed to Manager Waller.
Teresa delivered it this morning, so thank you very much.
It's a long one.
I didn't have it yet.
Yeah, so imagine that for 6 credits.
Yeah. President Bradley, Board of Managers, I'm happy to bring back whatever we can find.
I found it.
And we will put that on a future workshop. That would be fine. I think it's important to note, and I think what we'll find is there's a lot of detail on it will not be present. That's just to offer an early speculation opinion that whatever was said didn't make paper and a lot of time has passed, but we'll do our best to reconstruct what existed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe that concludes our agenda. So we have a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn, Mr. President.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No opposed, 4-0. Well, that was a quick one, guys.